Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a throwback look, actually my first throwback look at my first Transformers figures I have ever gotten in my life. And honestly, it's really crazy seeing the engineering from 2011 to 2022. I mean, it's been over a decade since Dark of the Moon came out, and we're taking a look at these figures. Now, I've had these figures as long as I can remember, which is a long time, but I've just seen these old figures comparing to the new ones, and it's just insane how the designs and everything has changed over the years. And in this video, I want to show you how these figures have changed and how they look very different. And honestly, I prefer the new ones, obviously. But I grew up with these. These were my childhood heroes to me, and they were just so cool. So in this video, we're gonna take a look at these new figures. Honestly, I have no idea whatsoever what series they were from, but I do remember that I did get them, I believe, at Walmart at my when I was probably around maybe 5 years old, around that time. But I do remember I got these guys many years ago at a Walmart or something, and then I think they sold a Megatron version, but I never got it. I'm not so sure, but I got these two together. My father bought these for me, and it was just really cool. So in this video, we're gonna take a look at the old 2011, I believe, Dark of the Moon Transformers, Optimus Prime, and Bumblebee, and then we're gonna take a look at the newer figures and do some size comparisons. And I want to show you some of the gimmicks that are included with these figures. So first off, let's start off with Optimus Prime. Let's move Bumblebee to the side. I'll save the best for last. Taking a look at Optimus Prime, I think this figure actually honestly, from this view, it actually looks how he's supposed to look like in the movie. If we do remember, in Dark of the Moon, Optimus Prime had no back cable whatsoever. He had a sleek body, looked really nice. We can see the back part of Optimus Prime looks really great. We can see some nice sculpt work from. And note that this figure is roughly over 10 years old, so the sculpt work has changed over the years. And I did try to repaint this guy a little bit, so these silver highlights on the back of his head, which I'll show you just in a bit. These silver highlights are here. I customized painted those, so if you own this figure, you won't have that, but I've been trying to customize this guy. And these black highlights on the wheels, I also customized that as well. So I'm gonna be using this guy to make some custom really cool models. And overall, we can see Optimus Prime looks really great. The sculpt work on the whole body itself looks great. The feet look really nice, at least in my time back then. So overall, this figure looks really nice.
I am Optimus Prime.
And that's one of the gimmicks. He has, in fact, 7 voice recordings. One of saying, "I am Optimus Prime," which we'll hear again right now.
Decepticons incoming.
I'm sorry, but not right now. But the second one is Decepticons incoming. The third one is
Bring it on.
where you can hear a chainsaw. And I believe this part was supposed to light up, but I'm not so sure. And then here's the fourth one.
Autobots, lock and load. Stop the Decepticons.
The fifth and the sixth.
Let's roll.
And finally, the best sound effect that this figure ever has is this one, the 7th one. The transformation sound effect. And I think for a gimmicky toy of 2011, I believe Hasbro did a really good job in their time, and I really do like how it looks like. I have repainted this guy slightly, probably just giving him some gunmetal highlights, but other than that, it looks really cool. Now, honestly, Bumblebee actually looks better than Optimus Prime. Honestly, from this side perspective, he looks like he's actually from Dark of the Moon. We can see so many detailing on him. Actually, not that much detailing. It just looks really cool. But we can see that the torso is completely in silver. We have that really jacked up chest that Bumblebee had. And in Dark of the Moon, he always looks so cool. I really liked how his body looked like in Dark of the Moon, and I think the back captures exactly how he looked like from Dark of the Moon perfectly. I'm pretty sure this is probably 100%. Obviously, they should paint this region and stuff, which I will do myself in my own spare time, but I believe this looks astonishing, looks accurate to how Bumblebee looked like in Dark of the Moon. Here we can see some nice detailing on the hands. The arms looks really accurate. We can compare it with the Studio Series to see how they they do have some similarities. The feet actually, however, look different from look in fact a little bit different from his actual version. His actual version had skinnier feet with parts poking out here and there, and then the sides, they look kind of barely accurate. You can see that this region right here this area would be shaded in yellow, where this would be in black, where the rear end of the car would be. But overall, this figure actually looks really, really good. And just like Optimus Prime, he does have sound effects. So
Bumblebee, reporting for duty, sir.
So he has one where he says Bumblebee and he says reporting for duty, and then the second one is a sound effect of him shooting out, and then that will also play in the same role, just like the arm, which I'll show you on both Optimus and Bumblebee.
People from all over the world will join together today in defiance of evil.
So that's another sound effect that he has, and the fourth one,
Nobody can. That's Bumblebee.
I kind of like that sound effect. And the fifth one I really like the most.
Driver, start your engine.
So those were the 5 sound effects that this Bumblebee figure does have, and I think that honestly these look really, really great. Just taking a look at my old figures and seeing how the designs have changed is really, really cool. Out of these, I prefer Bumblebee's body, but from some perspectives, Optimus Prime does look in fact better. So I really do like how both of these look like. They look accurate to how they did in the movie. Just they are missing a lot of detail on them. I'll just tell you that they are missing a lot of detail. Well, that's where 10 years later, Studio Series comes in with newer figures. Here we have, I'm just gonna bring in some comparisons. Here we have Optimus Prime of the Studio Series, and here we have Bumblebee of the Studio Series, and we can totally see how accurate the new versions are compared to the older versions. The older versions were way bigger. They had gimmicky sound effects and had their own little things and everything, which is cool. But the newer figures look exactly how they look like in the movie. They have so much detail in them. They are 100 times better than these guys. Not saying that these guys were terrible, just they couldn't transform, that's it. But these figures were absolutely amazing. Now, some gimmicks that this figure has, is probably the only gimmick besides the voice, is that he does in fact have this ability to move the chainsaw around and will play some sounds. So I will show you how to do that. So you're just gonna move this, and the more you move it, the more sound will generate. So that was just playing how Optimus Prime does in fact have a sound effect of sawing something, and he in fact laughs, which is hilarious, honestly. The fact that he's laughing as he's chainsawing something is actually kind of gives me evil vibes. I feel like he enjoys doing that to Megatron or something. Now, Bumblebee has something similar, but instead, this time he's shooting out, which obviously we know Bumblebee typically had a blaster and shot out and stuff. So here are the sound effects. So then after that, the sound replays over and over. So just like that, those were Optimus Prime and Bumblebee sound effects. Now let's go over the articulation and see how the articulation has changed. Starting first off with Optimus Prime, he does in fact has ratchet joints on the arms, which can bend at a terrific degree, but do stop at a certain point, and then the same applies to the back side of the arms. So his arms do in fact stop at certain points. So the other arm will do the same. It'll stop at a certain point and then it won't keep going. Same can be said for the legs. They have ratchet joints that could kick forward really far and kick backward not that far. So honestly, this figure has minimal articulation. As far as this hand is concerned, it can swivel. I did repaint this hand in gunmetal, so if you do own this figure, if it looks different, I did repaint that as well. And then the face itself can in fact just go left and right, cannot look up and down, barely anything, and cannot tilt side to side, well, barely anything on this figure. So as far as articulation, it's probably one of the worst a Transformer figure could have, besides a Transformer figure that cannot transform, or I have a Starscream figure that has no articulation whatsoever, and that is just sad. I won't even be showing it on this channel. But as far as articulation goes, for the head, Bumblebee, he does in fact have a swivel at the head and barely has any range of motion on the hand, so not that much. As far as the arm is concerned, he does have a ratchet right there at the arm, right here at the arm as well, and then just the same ratchets Optimus Prime had on the legs. So in fact, if you can't get this guy bending down without without moving both of the legs, so he won't have an ab crunch or anything like that, so which is kind of a poor design. Hasbro had so much opportunity with these two figures to add as much articulation as possible, but since these toys were probably for kids ages 4 and up, they probably didn't do that for that specific reason. Size comparison wise between Optimus and Bumblebee, we can see Optimus is slightly taller than Bumblebee, but obviously we can see this is totally inaccurate. We know Bumblebee is supposed to be around the torso region, so why is this? Well, it's because obviously back then they really didn't care for accuracy that much, and it was mostly for kids, these two figures. But now, just taking a look at the newer figures, the Studio Series figures look absolutely amazing. They blow these older figures out of the water. Not saying they were terrible, it's just these figures are so better. We can see Bumblebee has a lot of articulation. I covered that in my review for him, and Optimus Prime I didn't cover the articulation for him that much because that was an older review, but we can see overall how they have changed from 2011 to 2022, and honestly this looks really great. For another size comparison, I'm going to bring in the Transformers The Ride Megatron, just showing you. I thought Megatron would be probably a little bit tall, and nope, Optimus Prime and Bumblebee look like they could just jump him right there any second and just take him down. So honestly, they won't at all match with the newer figures at all. So if you have these figures, that is great. Let me know in the comments down below. But these figures were actually really nice. So some final thoughts of these figures. If you have them, that is great. If you want to collect them, I'm not so sure where you can find them, but these figures looked really great. I grew up with these figures. They were really amazing. I love the sound effects. They were really cool. I really like these figures. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe, leave a nice comment, and until my next review, I will see you then. And my next review will most likely be a War for Cybertron review or a Studio Series review. So thank you for watching, and until the next review, I will see you then. Thanks for watching.